Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today and for the honor of speaking alongside Labor Secretary Scalia and former House Speaker Gingrich. I'm David Herring, and as you mentioned, I lead Pfizer's North America vaccines team. It's safe to say that in my decades of working on vaccine innovation and commercialization, I have never seen, nor have many of my colleagues seen, such an interest and laser focus on vaccines. To put it mildly, vaccines are never the sexy part of biopharmaceutical. Traditionally, vaccines have flown below the radar, and in past years, innovation in biopharma has really focused on gene therapy, rare diseases, and immune oncology. But this is a fundamentally different time, and vaccines are an important area of focus to potentially address the COVID-19 pandemic. While we are all facing a tremendous challenge with COVID-19, I am heartened to see the extraordinary collaboration across the spectrum of the industry in research, development, manufacturing, and supply, as well as in large companies like Pfizer and small biotech startups. All of us are working together to get a vaccine ready so we can all start living our lives the way we all want to. I also believe that efforts made by government officials to foster innovation and collaboration in the development and manufacture of potential COVID-19 vaccines is very important. Operation Warp Speed, for example, can offer important support for vaccine and therapeutics, their development, manufacturing, purchase, and distribution of them, new vaccines, as well as other products. At Pfizer, we have chosen so far to not accept federal funding for the development of our COVID-19 vaccine candidates to allow us to utilize our longtime experience in vaccine development and to retain as much flexibility as possible in our work. We are also able to tap into our expertise to rapidly scale up manufacturing in parallel with our development program. As you can imagine, traditionally, we won't sort of upscale our manufacturing until we have more signals from the clinical trials. But of course, this is like a situation like no other. And with this approach of doing the two in parallel, if one of our COVID-19 vaccine candidates is approved by US regulators in the fall, we would be ready to supply tens of millions of doses in the US this year and hundreds of millions in 2021. So far, we've had some promising developments in the last few weeks in our clinical trials that we have underway for the vaccine, which we're working to develop with our partner, BioNTech. That collaboration brings Pfizer's deep experience in vaccine and biopharmaceutical research and development, manufacturing, and distribution platforms, along with regulatory expertise and a novel vaccine platform using genetic engineering to instruct cells to combat the virus in humans that BioNTech has worked on for several years. We are, of course, extremely hopeful that we will be able to develop a vaccine more quickly than ever before, in part due to this innovative technology. Now, it's still early. We still have to do an additional larger clinical trial, and we have the time to conduct that before we fully understand the effectiveness and viability of our potential vaccine. But our colleagues are deeply committed to our program and are working each day to get a COVID-19 vaccine to people in a timely manner, while of course prioritizing the safety and efficacy of our vaccine candidates. I'm hopeful that the success of a COVID vaccine coming to the US, whether it is from Pfizer or another company, or the collaboration of many, will help to reignite a belief in science and specifically the value of vaccines. Vaccines are one of the true success stories of public health. Vaccines have resulted in the control, elimination, or near elimination of numerous infectious diseases that were once pervasive and often fatal, particularly for children. Vaccine innovators and manufacturers in the US have played an important role in helping to develop vaccines to address these challenges, and we're grateful for your support of this important work. But I am concerned that it continues to take pandemics, epidemics, and outbreaks to draw the attention to the importance of continued support for innovation and development of vaccines for diseases. While certainly the COVID-19 the COVID-19 pandemic is the largest that we've seen in quite some time, it is not the only signal that we should be taking more to heart as it relates to innovation in vaccines. The recent H1N1 pandemic and influenza in 2009, Ebola outbreak, Zika, SARS, etc., continue to demonstrate that we need to be continually focused on vaccine innovation. I look forward to the opportunity now and after the pandemic to work with ALEC and US policymakers to improve our nation's level of preparedness for the next pandemic, epidemic, or outbreak, and help address serious health challenges for which vaccines are an important part of the solution. The interruption that COVID-19 has caused in all our lives may feel unprecedented, but in the not so distant past, the fear of disease and restrictions in the way we live and work was much more common. Before vaccines were available for a wide number of diseases, many people knew or were related to someone who had contracted measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough, or polio. My own mother told me stories from her child growing up in the 1940s and 50s where she wasn't allowed to play outside or go to the beach during periods in the summer over fears of contracting German measles and other diseases. For most of us, this was a distant memory until now. We see it as resurfaced, and of course, a much more substantial way during the COVID-19 outbreak. The reason this was previously a memory is vaccines. They changed that. And until recently, we haven't seen some of these diseases for a generation or more. And while this is positive from the public health perspective, it has also led to complacency and questions about the need for vaccination. As we emerge from this pandemic, we already know that some people will be at greater risk for contracting vaccine preventable diseases because they haven't been able to stay updated on their vaccinations during the height of the pandemic. This is a worry for these individuals in our public health system. For every adult who unnecessarily contracts the flu or pneumococcal pneumonia, that may be one less hospital bed, one less ventilator that a COVID patient may not have access to, or even though routine vaccination can help prevent flu, pneumonia, and other diseases. As a society who wants to recover from this public health crisis and prevent future ones, we must prioritize investment in innovation, research, and of course, preparedness in looking at new vaccines. We must also have in place good public policy to ensure access to and coverage for these critical vaccinations for COVID-19 and beyond. Thank you again for this opportunity today. I look forward to working with you and all of our partners on these important issues. Thank you so much.